Hey everyone, welcome to the Smiling Homeschooler Podcast. We're glad to be back. It feels like it's been a little bit for me, which I guess it has only been 2 weeks, but for me it feels like a while since it's essentially every week. But before we get started here, we just want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for helping make the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They're the math curriculum that our family uses, and we've encouraged thousands of other homeschoolers to use as well. And if you haven't checked them out, you definitely should over at teachingtextbooks.com. Also, thank you to Samaritan Ministries. They are a community of Christians that pay one another's medical bills, helping families take a safe step of faith as they feel God's leading in career or ministry changes or in bringing mom home. And if you want to learn more, you can click the link in the chat, and that'll take you right to their website and show you some of their amazing offerings. So, but Dad, if you're ready to go ahead and get started, let's go.
Okay, well, we've got a special guest, which is my second born son, Sam. And Sam's here and Ben's here, and that's because all the wives are over at my house right now watching Dancing with the Stars, which I don't even know if you can be a Christian and watch that show. But all the girls are there. There's a charcuterie board sitting on my dining or kitchen island, so they can snack and have fun, and all the guys are doing funner stuff at home. So Sam, it always feels odd to say good to have you with us, but I'll say to you anyway, good to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me once every, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Sam's the son we keep.
It's about the most
we only bring
handle.
out every 5 years.
Yeah,
that's right. The world can only take so much.
That's right. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving. And movies and new offering by the Wingfeather Saga. I know that there's some fans listening right now, and Thanksgiving is coming up this weekend. What were you gonna say, Ben?
I was gonna say, before you do, just since not everyone knows our whole family, so maybe Sam, you could just give them a real quick, what you got going on in terms of your family and how old your kids are and all that.
Yeah, we've got 2 boys. A 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. We live about 10 minutes away from the Wilson compound. And I don't know, our youngest has just started kind of dipping his toes in preschool and learning the alphabet, and
it's overrated.
Your youngest or your oldest?
Did I say my youngest?
Yeah,
or
so
oldest?
I was like, holy moly, you guys are getting started.
No, our youngest is working on algebra.
Which, did you see? This is not to encourage. This is a discouraging thing, or it just doesn't even matter. I saw in like Belgium, was it? I think something like that. Mm-hmm. Some kid prodigy just got his PhD in like physics or something like that at 15. But it's one of those ridiculous things I saw today.
Yeah, that's book learning. That's book learning.
I don't even know what that means.
He probably can't even.
Nolan's going
cut
for
his own
13,
grass.
apparently.
That's right. Yep,
that's right.
He can look at picture books. He's pretty good at that, which is a wonderful blessing that he just sits there and does that for.
They're gifted at wrestling and headlocks, so that's another big one
sure.
Too.
Yeah, very busy.
Really are.
We've got a full life of chaos. So.
Well, we all have something to be thankful for. I mean, we're super thankful for our families and for, the past and our heritage and all that. In fact, I was just got not a message. Mom just told me that Dorinda Wilson, who's been on this show and that we've talked about and prayed for, she's had colon cancer that has spread to other things. And I just saw that it was their last prayer request, that as she is ushered into heaven, that it would be a gentle and peaceful time. And I told Mom afterwards, I said, it has just felt sobering this whole evening as we've just kind of, stunned for their family. Her husband, Daryl, they have 8 children, kind of mirror what we are, with the same kind of ages of kids. And really, she's only known for about a year, maybe just under a year. And, and that's just such a perspective changer, just changes everything. We'll make sure we pray for her at the end. Don't let me forget Ben and for her husband, Daryl. But it just kind of affects everything. And it makes you it heightens Thanksgiving. And I know we're going to do lots of fun stuff with family. One of the fun things we always do is we go to a movie. And we've been really thankful that Disney has done a lot of great movies over the time. And I was going to ask you guys, can you remember any of the Thanksgiving movies that maybe have come out? I was just looking up a list. And there's just lots of them. Moana, Frozen, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Toy Story 2, Coco, Tangled, Creed 2. I didn't watch that one. The Good Dinosaur, Enchanted, A Bug's Life, The Muppets, Encanto. Did I already say that? Penguins of Madagascar.
Encanto was.
Rise of the Guardians, Christmas with the Cranks. I didn't know that came out at this time. And lots of other ones that just keep on going down in popularity. But this year is Zootopia 2. We're all, I think, planning to go see that sometime over the weekend. It looks like it's going to be a good one. But I asked you the question. I didn't let you answer. But do you have a favorite of all those that maybe we've gone to? Or what does it mean? Do you look forward to the Thanksgiving movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go then, I guess. But I think
there's only two of you.
Something specific with our family is, we always did Thanksgiving with my grandparents on my mom's side and cousins. And most of the movie going experiences we ever had during over the years with Thanksgiving was usually, I think it was the day after, probably Friday. The moms would go shopping in the morning, and then we'd all, cousins and everything, go watch a movie. With that many kids, that was probably some pretty serious money, which now I realize, at the time I didn't care at all, but now that was, that was a lot. But we'd go do that every year, and that was definitely a fun time. I don't know if it's Frozen was a big one. That one I was pretty old, but I just remember being completely shocked because I had no idea what it was about or anything. I think met Rissa that year, so I wasn't really clued into movie, what was coming out and stuff. And then it was just so fun. So that was one that really stood out to me. And it was probably also the first one that my wife, joined us on.
I think I would say Frozen as well, just because it was such an event. And I think part of the event is when you go as a family or go whatever, it's the after the movie that's the more fun. You get to talk about it. And Frozen specifically, I remember almost everybody individually, all the families at least, downloaded the soundtrack the next day, and so it kind of continued on after that. It was more of an event in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a lot of those good ones. I mean, I do remember Encanto not that long ago even, but that one I was not as impressed at the time, but then it grew on me so much over time, which was fun, which doesn't always happen. So that was a highlight one, I think, for sure. But Dad, did you have one?
We went to one. I was trying to think of the one we watched. And maybe this is kind of a lead into what we're talking about. We try to check them out on Plugged In if we're a little unsure. Plugged In online, or Plugged In is a focus on the family. It rates everything. It tells you if there's language or there's scenes. And but I can remember watching one, and it just felt really dark. I cannot remember what it was, but I can remember looking at each other and going, should we be watching this? I don't remember leaving, so we must have watched it, and it didn't make that a big impression on us. They're resilient.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal to us, and I don't know about for you guys. So what do you both have young kids. Sam's oldest is 4, Ben's oldest is 8. People will say, well, were you a harsh critic? Were you protective of your children? I'm like, no one was more protective, probably. Our kids didn't see nothing. Veggie Tales we were okay with. We kind of lightened up a little bit later on. I know some of you parents listening, let your kids go see Creed 2, probably on Thanksgiving, or some of those, but we did not. In fact, I can remember going to, we were just talking about this the other day. I went to Toy Story, the very first one, with my brother-in-law. I don't know if we were checking it out, but we were kind of getting a flavor of it. Even though my kids were only 2 at the time, I don't know what I wasn't planning to take them. But, we would sometimes go before to check it out. I remember going to Chronicles of Narnia and saying to my kids, guys, I don't think we can go. Not because it was bad, but because it was pretty intense. I don't think Ben or Sam has still seen the scene of Aslan on the stone table yet.
One of these days, I'll work up the courage.
I haven't watched it in forever, so I don't know if I've seen that whole scene.
Yeah, you're gonna show it to your little kid and go, "I never knew this was in here."
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But what do you look for, like, or what are things that you would say, yeah, that's not for our family, or right now anyway?
I mean, obviously, like for us, if you laying aside like the
Bad
mature
stuff.
content, I mean, language and sexual scenes or whatever. For the most part, I think the harder thing to judge is like how scary something is or how intense it's gonna feel. And sometimes I've been surprised. Like I would think, going back, like watching How to Train Your Dragon or something with our 4-year-old, it doesn't bother him at all. Like we've watched some of it, and I'm about ready to turn it off or whatever because I think it might be too scary, and he doesn't really seem to care. And I don't know. Usually, we'll just kind of. He's pretty good at saying like, "I don't like this. This is scary," and then we'll just turn it off and not worry about it. But I don't know. I think that's kind of a harder thing to parse out before you go see it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think plugged in is so critical. I really, as soon as checking that immediately just for content, which it's really bothering me nowadays. I was just talking to a friend about this, where certain Disney movies and other ones, they'll include like a word. So for example, Bad Guys 2 is an animated movie that just came out that we watched with the kids. And, it's like, it has a word in it, which I muted because I saw plugged in said like right at the beginning of the movie it does. And so I was able to, figure out where that was. But I'm just like, what does that gain you having one word? Like who likes it more, goes to see it over not seeing it because that word? If anything, it just is like, it just lowers it. I would think maybe they just is so non-significant it doesn't matter to the general public. I don't know, but it just is weird to me that's the case. But
well, how about you, Ben, too? I know that, I mean, Sam has boys right now and they're young. But one of those things that I always kind of cringe at is our coming of age movies. I just hate when they go a coming of age, that they're going to go through this kind of struggle to find themselves. And I know that can mean a lot of things for a lot of people, but, or teeny bopper movies. I know that Renly was saying,
nowadays would know.
I know. Mine said, Dad won't let us watch this, and it was something like High School Musical or something like that. Not because you thought it was necessarily bad, but because you didn't.
I just don't like. I mean, especially with Renly, like the attitudes and like some of that is starting to be really more of like, I'm aware of it, or like just respect in how they talk. And you could go all the way back into the old Disney movies. That's always been a thing, where the parents and the kids are usually, there's some extra drama there, and some more anger than is normal or whatever. So I'm not like stickler about it, but if it's something that just feels kind of gross, like honestly, like that's what Turning Red I really didn't like, because it just was so anti-parent, and I don't like that. I don't want them thinking the parents are the bad guys in every movie. So that's something I'm looking for nowadays. I mean, Disney's pulled it back, which I'm very thankful for, but there was a lot of gender related stuff in. I really, really, really do not want that in any of my kids' movies. So that was like a hard line, watching for that kind of stuff. So and then I think there are some limits of like some spiritual stuff. I mean, I get it, Moana, it's obviously not, there's the Tafiti and the heart and all that. So I totally get it if you just are like, we're not going to watch anything like that. And I think obviously everyone has to kind of make those judgment calls. For me, that one doesn't feel like as, I don't know, in your face, but some of them, it gets into the more of the spiritual side of things. And I sometimes will, they might've seen it once, but I'm not going to be like, hey, let's rewatch that a lot.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Sam?
I think sometimes too, if it feels like darker or more realistic, like if you haven't shown our kids Princess and the Frog, because that just feels a little more like the what's the word for it? Not witchcraft, but
I mean it is
voodoo, the voodoo stuff. Like that's kind of in our world. That's present day. It doesn't feel like fantasy off in some magical realm. I don't know. So that stuff feels a little more cautionary to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a big deal. I mean, it just is so, maybe our kids are entertainment kids, or we live in an entertainment world, but there's just so many offerings and so many people who are going, oh, you should watch this. And I can remember I was always the bad dad because all the other kids could go watch everything with their family and my kids couldn't. And so it continues to be an issue, and that's what we're going to talk about. And this is why we had Sam on this show, because we're going to talk about a series that maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not. Were you going to say something, Ben?
Well, I don't want to move off that completely real quick. I wanted to say one thing about that. If you do have older kids and you are kind of having those conversations of like, why can't I go watch any of that kind of stuff? I would say stick with them. I mean, it is frustrating. And, now as an adult, I feel, the ability to watch that stuff, obviously, some of that, but it's also, with a super strong base from the beginning, and I think that's important, that my parents didn't necessarily get into all it has this one specific thing, so we can't watch that, but they were willing to talk about it. And I think that's really important. And I appreciated that.
They probably have never watched a whole movie without at least one or two mutings or fast forwards. So, I mean, even now we still mute things, and I have these grown kids are like, Mom, Dad, and
it is
so
just
that's
a
okay
habit at that point.
That's okay.
Yeah. I did think it was funny. One of my friends, Jared, his dad once, they were watching something, and it was a really big deal to him about any kind of like, which I get, agree with what, women, how they were dressed. And there was something that came up that was not like, whether it was an advertisement or something. And his dad was like panicking and started trying to fast forward, but instead he put it on still. So it was just like the whole screen. So he just like walks over and just knocks the whole TV off the thing on the ground. And everyone's just sitting there like, what? And then he just walked out of the room because he was so just like frazzled or whatever. But I just thought that was such
a behalf
of
all
thing.
Dads listening, that is an awesome dad.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Exactly what you're supposed to throw through the window. I don't know, in frustration. Well, hey, we want to thank Redeem Health Share and Samaritan Ministries for being part of this week's show. At Redeem Health Share, they're about much more than sharing medical costs. They're a community that prays together, supports each other, and finds strength in their shared faith. When you're going through tough times, they're here to offer encouragement, a listening ear, and heartfelt prayers. You'll feel the warmth and love of a community that truly cares. To learn more and to be part of Team Redeem, see the link in the show notes.
And we also want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks. They make this all possible. They're an amazing partner and an amazing math curriculum. My daughter's using it right now, not as we speak, but as at this school year, and she loves it. She said she wanted to be on the podcast at some point to talk about it, so maybe you'll hear her in the future. But it's just super engaging. It's interactive. It's fun. It's very independent, which is super nice, especially if you've got a lot of kids. So they have multiple options over on their website, teachingtextbooks.com. So go check them out. All right, Dad, get back to the Wingfeather.
Okay. Well, let's. So the reason I had Sam on the show is because I don't know how many years ago a book series came out, and it was called the Wingfeather Saga. Sam, you read the books. Ben, did you read the books, or were you just a little bit older?
I've only read the first one after the first season, I think, or Sam was working on it.
Okay. Well, Sam had read the books before, correct? So Why don't you tell us a little bit about the books? They're by Andrew Peterson. Yep. Some of you know him from his singing, some of his songs. I remember a song I heard, I didn't even know who it was, called I'm a Family Man. That was like, wow, that was an amazing song. And the song He Is that what it's called?
Is He Worthy? I think.
Is He Worthy?
Such a good song. One of my favorite songs.
Very good.
But he wrote this book series called the Wingfeather Saga. Why don't you tell us about it, Sam?
It's a 4-book series. It's based in the mythical world of Erwiar. It follows the Wingfeather family on their quest to regain their home in the Shining Isle, and their journey takes them across the whole world essentially, and they fight monsters and fangs and evil creatures, and it's really about their family coming together, and battling the evil that's in the world. And yeah, it's really, it kind of escalates. It kind of starts out as a small story just in their village, and kind of escalates by the end to kind of an epic, not quite Lord of the Rings-esque, but kind of in that vein with battles and lands and magic and all those things.
And I read the series, just because I was interested, and maybe it was sitting around, and I was smitten by the story, and it kind of has I wouldn't say necessarily allegorical, but there's kind of a biblical picture throughout it, towards the end and at the very end. Which
the way
is
Andrew would usually like to describe it is, it's not outwardly Christian, but it's deeply Christian. So a lot of the themes and the deeper meanings are based on truth and based on Christian ideas and stuff. But it's not talking about Christian ideas necessarily outwardly.
Even though they often reference the Maker, and even though they don't, they don't do Bible verses or talk about the Bible, but they recognize that the Maker's in charge of all this.
Correct.
And of course, they're when he said fangs, they're giant lizard guys who are slobbering, drooling villains who we find out they kind of have a backstory. Yep. And so then, I don't know how long ago, they decided to turn that into a series.
Yep. So they started out with a short film. They did a Kickstarter, and then after they kind of finished that, they ended up selling the series to Angel, and it became the largest crowd-funded series, or kids series at least, ever. I think they have over 10,000 investors, and just a huge support from the crowd that wanted to make this happen. And I think the first season came out in 2021, I think. And
it's really that long ago. Wow.
Yep. With the third season is releasing as we speak.
So you've been working on it for 5 or 6 years then at this point, right?
I think this is the 4th year. Yeah.
Oh, 4th. Okay.
And so a couple of years ago, Sam got involved as an animator, and we've talked to Sam about animation, and right now he's the lead animator for the series, which I like saying that because that's kind of fun
wild.
as a parent. So now we're at season 3, and maybe you could, in a nutshell, where's the first season begin and end? Where's the second season begin and end? And now where are we starting in the third season?
Yep. So the first season is basically, we get to see what the world is about, and by the end of the first season, we find out kind of where the story is going to go. We find out who the family is and where they came from, and there's a few mysteries there that kind of are going throughout the first season that finally unravel in that. And then the second season is basically a long chase. They get chased from their home, and the Fangs, or the bad guys, Nag the Nameless is kind of the big bad. He's searching for this family for kind of unknown purposes. And so he chases them across the country, and they have to overcome all these obstacles. And finally, in this season, they reach kind of sanctuary, they think, in the ice prairies, and find out maybe it's not as safe as they think it would be. But yeah.
Well, Sam already said that it's coming out. Season 3 is coming out right now as we speak. So the first 3 episodes have dropped. We watched the first 3 episodes, and we were watching the 3rd episode last night, and we finished up. And Jed, who, his repertoire of movies pretty much is basketball, and golf videos, said, "Hey, can we watch the fourth? Can we watch the 4th one?" When it was over. Nice. So I think it's got him hooked. But maybe give a flavor for the whole show. Because we were talking about, what do we let our kids watch? Would you let your 4-year-old watch this? Because I sometimes think, because Ben said, is it family friendly? And I'm like, yes, it's family friendly, but that doesn't mean it's for everybody in the family.
Well, and I think also, I think the age groups is important just because I think this is perfect for like a kid getting into the, a little bit older who is like wanting some of that, feeling like it's a grown up, thing, but is still safe, but continue on to those ages.
I mean, it's rated TVY 7, which would mean 7 and up technically, but we've let our 4-year-old watch some of it. He can't watch all of it. There's definitely some scarier scenes, and it has some, I would say, some real stakes to it and stuff. It doesn't just, it's not a kid's show. But it is something that a family can enjoy. Just maybe some of the younger kids wouldn't be able to watch all the parts. But
you also know, I think, like, it's not going to go to somewhere that, you'd be afraid. Like, it's not going to show someone get gutted, or something like
correct.
that.
There's no
so,
gore, there's
like,
no
it's
language,
not, there's a limit.
They do, like, throw a knife and kill an animal, or, they punch each other. And there's
definitely
some
battles.
Pretty high stakes. Yeah.
For sure. And there's battles and there's creatures that chase them, and they're
in dungeons and the fork factory and
child slavery.
It's all good topics.
Yeah, it's definitely fun stuff, and it's never graphic, it's never gratuitous, but it definitely is. It has some intensity to it, and I would say it's kind of on the level of like a Narnia or something like that. Probably, it's animated, so it's not quite that intense maybe, but it definitely elevates. It has levels that go up and down.
But it doesn't feel like that, like it's some kind of funny show where they're cracking jokes all the way along the way. It has a intensity that I think, because it is family friendly, it kind of fills a need for some of those kids who maybe want a little bit more.
Yeah, and it definitely escalates. I mean, the first season, I would say, starts off pretty tame, and as we go into continuing seasons, it kind of continues to ramp up even.
And how does the release work for Angel? For anyone who is interested in watching this, because I think I think there'd definitely be a lot of moms who would.
Yep. So you just if you're subscribed to Angel, you can already watch it. The first 3 episodes are out. If you want to watch it, you can just go to angel.com/wingfeather and sign up there. And it's just like any other streaming service. It's a monthly fee.
And what are some other things that are on Angel that they might have taken advantage of that, that can they watch the show? Is The Chosen on Angel?
Chosen's not on Angel. They have.
Is Moana?
Moana is also not on there. They actually have a really big library now. I would say even a year ago, it's grown probably 2 to 3 times what they had before, and adding new stuff all the time.
The Dickens one.
Yep, they have the movie King of Kings.
That
is
was
on
really
there.
good.
It's the animated life of Jesus, kind of told by Charles Dickens. They have a couple other animated shows on there. They have a new show coming out called The Wayfinders that is kind of in our, I would say it's in our kind of realm age group. It's kind of a fantasy series. It's live action, but it's actually really good. I've seen the first episode.
And David's coming out too. Is that correct?
Yep. David will be released in theaters sometime this Christmas, and yeah, that's probably their biggest release.
Why don't you also mention, Sam, because I know a lot of things, because I think people listening are pretty used to supporting Christian filmmaking. The Kendrick brothers have been champions of this, is there a sense that by watching these things, there could be good for your family? It's also good for, Christian filmmakers?
For sure. That's part of when you subscribe to Angel, you become part of the Angel Guild, and part of what that means is you can watch content that they want to bring out. So the way they put it is you become the gatekeeper of what content comes out on Angel. So you can watch stuff so for like Wingfeather, we put up all our episodes before they come out so that they can vote on them to make sure they pass the guild and can go out. So you are kind of, by being a part of Angel, you become part of something bigger that's kind of a movement releasing new stuff all the time.
Which is super, super cool. Well, hey, we're out of time, and because I do want to pray for Dorinda as we sign off here. But again, check it out at Angel Studios. I don't know if that's .com.org. Maybe, Ben, you could put that in.
Angel.com /
Angel.com. There you go. And make sure you, as you're scrolling through the credits, you wait long enough till you see Sam's name. If you do, let me know and make me a proud dad. So why don't we pray? And as we go into this Thanksgiving time with lots of fun, let's remember the Wilsons, not our Wilsons, but Dorinda's family. Let's pray. Dear God, I just pray in the midst of the time to be extremely thankful. We are so thankful. We know that their families are going through really hard times. And we pray for Dorinda Wilson and her husband, Daryl, and her family, her children, her grandchildren. I pray that you would be there in a special way. And we ask that you would honor their prayer request and you would make her passing peaceful and gentle, and your presence would be felt. And may you work in the rest of us not to forget to pray and not to forget to be thankful for what we have right now. We pray all this in your name. Amen. Okay, well, that was a lot that we covered. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, that you have so much to be thankful for. And again, pray for the Dorinda Wilson and her family, and maybe go see Zootopia 2 or check out the Wingfeather Saga on angel.com. And until next time, make sure you're smiling.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making Smiling Homeschooler possible. Go support them over at teachingtextbooks.com. Also, there's Samaritan Ministries, a community of Christians that pay one another's medical bills, helping families take a safe step of faith as they feel God's leading in career or ministry changes or in bringing mom home. And you can go check out a link in our show notes on the podcast or in the audio or in the Facebook one. You can see it in the links in the chat. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.